Welcome back, folks. You're listening to another episode of the Dirty Decibels podcast. My name is Jeff, and I am graced by the presence of Mr. Dan Carswell on the show tonight. And I want to start off tonight's episode by with an apology, because Dan and I had an interview quite a while back that was it during an exciting time when a lot of things were happening and wheels were turning over at the Hong Kong, and my own incompetence with bringing back the podcast the first time around, which I was trying to do. The interview kind of got lost to the ether of hard drive no man's land. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say there. Hard drive Narnia. Got lost in hard drive Narnia.
I remember that. It was that. I hadn't been up there in a while, but that, like, the upstairs of Charlie's that we did, it was like so hot.
Yes,
it was always a fucking sauna.
I do remember that. There was like an office, like an old, like offices up there or whatever, and it was
there's a whole apartment up there. Like it's now a kitchen that they made before the world shut down. They were making it into like a kitchen, but it was like an apartment. Like the top floor of the restaurant was just like a 1-2 bed apartment. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point in history, whoever owned it or ran it or something probably lived above it or whatever. I feel like that's a very common common occurrence in a lot of those buildings, those old buildings. But anyway, there's lots of exciting stuff to talk about now, and I think it's an appropriate time to to have you back on the show for real this time, and chat. You have officially announced at this point that when the world opens back up, and particularly the venue O'Brien's Pub opens back up, that you have officially taken over as the booking agent for them, which is exciting news.
Yes. Like, yes, period, exclamation point. It's also like a tough act to follow, though. That's the thing. I'm like, I love Ryan. Who doesn't? Like, who doesn't love Ryan?
Right.
But just like, God, just if I could do like even a quarter of what he did, I'll be fucking stoked. You know, like I'll be like, feel it was like a job well done. But I'm excited. It's gonna be a weird. I don't know. I keep saying weird, and I don't know if that's the word that I mean. Different. It'll be a different world for shows.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what that could be, but I also don't know what the fuck it's gonna be either.
Was that decision something that you had to, or like change something that you had to sit on a while, like that you weren't able to officially announce, or was it something that kind of came up more recently?
It was
because I know those things sometimes they go that way, and you can't confirm it for a while.
Oh, we're talking like 72 hours at most.
Oh,
like,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was like like Tim had reached out wanting to like meet and like talk, and I mean I'm friendly with them, so I'll like go and we'll chat and stuff like that, and everything like made sense. We thought it was going to be it would be cool and like the right thing for both parties. I reached out to Ryan just to see how he was, and he's like, I'm gonna probably announce something soon. I'm like, dude, like this is your fucking send off, like no rush, like do you. And while he was like announcing that he was stepping out, I just like checked in with like Al, who like helps me with Hong Kong stuff, and just to be like, hey man, like, what are you looking to get into? Like, do you want more responsibility? Do you want to not come back? Like what? Right. Almost just like seeing what people want to do, and go from there. And he was like, like whatever you need, man. I was like, sick. So I'm just going to run like a crazy person forward with all this. And we're here.
One of the things I wanted to kind of ask you about was what things were looking like at the Hong Kong, because for those who are listening, maybe who don't know, or for whatever reason, but Dan was booking over there as well prior to the pandemic. And, there's been a lot of talk recently about venues and about the things going on in Boston with bars and with venues and stuff like that. And the Hong Kong's in one of those kind of lucky spots where there were restaurants. So, right. Yeah. And so I have to imagine that throughout this entire thing, they've still been doing their takeout. Oh, and yeah. They've still been open in some capacity. So yeah, I was curious to kind of know what things are looking like for the Hong Kong coming back as well. Yeah. And if that's still going to be in under your control as well, or how that's going to be.
Yeah. So it was like early, was it March? It was probably around a month ago, like say first couple of weeks of March, when Baker was like, live music again, like just this, like he just threw this grenade out to everyone, and no one was really clear as to what that meant and so on. And like I knew it was too early. I mean, because I'm like not an idiot, and like you can like look at everything and like no one would think that's a thing that would make sense. But I like reached out to like Charlie's in Hong Kong and be like, hey, like before I prefaced how I felt, I just wanted to see how they felt. And they both were like, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, we're not going to bring back music. And they kind of just started the conversation of like, do you want to have like, like, cause I mean, as like, I want to, but like, it's not always what I want, and it's like, if they were like, yeah, it was cool, but nah. And I'd be like, all right, like, cool. Can I like come grab my stuff and in like a box and like leave? But yeah, Paul at the Hong Kong was like, kind of how I think a lot of the places are, like venues are like, when we can pack as many people in safely as we can, and it makes sense. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no reason not to. Yeah. It was always kind of like it felt like for like that year and a quarter. No, God, we didn't even make it a year. It was like 11 and a half months. I felt like every other week was like a trial run to like something, just seeing what the fuck would stick or like what would work. And but so yes, it's still gonna have shows. I would like to like still book that room. That it was almost like a joke where like that room was just the O'Brien spillover room. Like, like
it's like O'Brien's upstairs.
yeah. So, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, it's like, if it doesn't work to do all of them, then like, obviously like, I'm not like a crazy person to do it, but it's like, it's, a lot of those Hong Kong shows were booked like 3 weeks out. Like they were just so like on the fly that like, I mean, we'll just see, and if it doesn't work out, I'm sure someone would want to do it,
Yeah. I think it's frustrating I find it frustrating for like people like us in our scene, in our community within Boston, where like you'll see, the governor's on the TV and he says like, I can't wait until the day I can go see a concert with my family again. I think that's so important, blah, 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 blah. And you have to remember that like in his mind, in a lot of these people's minds, when they think of a concert venue having a show, they're thinking about the pavilion, like the Bank of America pavilion. They're thinking about the House of Blues. They're thinking about the TD Garden, Comcast Center, or even like, at the very least, they're thinking about like, a Royale or a Sinclair sized room.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about the places that mean so much to us, totally. Where we're going on a weekly basis, like literally week by week to see our friends play music, or to see some of the intimate bands that we're seeing. And there is a huge difference, right? Like you can still put a decent amount of people even in the Sinclair, and not be at full capacity, and have it still be way more people than you can fit into the upstairs of the Hong Kong.
Totally.
Right. And so it's frustrating to see, I think a lot of hype around like, oh, things are going to start back opening up again and we can have music and we can have shows again. And those of us who like run in these circles are kind of like, that doesn't apply to us yet. that's still going to be a long time probably before we're able to have the type of show at O'Brien's that we used to have, you know?
Because what was like super, like today, like the announcements today that like Baker did, like just to put in like in the perspective for like what I think a lot of people don't fully understand is like a month and a half ago when Baker was like, you know, you can open up venues to like, you know, 25 or 40% or whatever it was. There was that like small like fine print that like came out a couple days later. It was like, well, like, but no singing, and like you still got to be like seated 6 feet apart, and all these like, I mean, rightfully so, like other rules. It's like, okay, I know like it says full, you know, like back to like this and this and this, but it's like
no singing. What does that apply to? Like just a restaurant where people are sitting down? Like
one guy had like a mandolin in the corner, like during like the dinner service, like which is cool.
Right.
But that's, you know, so I want to see in a couple of days what shakes free of like what August 1st full capacity venue means.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super confused and super, you know, curious and anxious to see as well, because I just feel like they don't get the full picture of like, and that brings to light a whole entire other issue, which is the issue of the underappreciation of places like that, which is like the whole reason why we're dealing with the possibility of Great Scott hopefully finding a new location, but losing its original location, is that, you know, these venues that aren't even on the radar of people in places of power, you know, that think like, it would be a lot harder for somebody to come along and kick the Sinclair out of their space. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to happen. And yet you have such a huge percentage of the population that cares about these places the way that we do, and like relies on them as a place to go see shows, you know?
And, I mean, it's like, I guess like a moment of like peeling back the curtain so everyone can see, but like, I mean, the O'Brien's booking email, it's like it exists and it didn't go away, and the people have been like throwing in, you know, like offers and yada yada. So I've been like trying to field things as appropriately as I feel as I can. But there is like a Great Scott size hole in our city, you know, like everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna miss it. It's like yeah, then not that they like shouldn't like just have that like, you know, blanket feeling, but like some shows coming through, I was like, you would sell out Great Scott or come close. You can't do Sinclair, you know, like I don't know that the Midway holds, but like I don't know, that's like a whole nother side of town. Maybe you want to like be in Boston or like Austin, and so it's like, well, I know you sold like 200 tickets last time through. O'Brien's has 70 people. You know, like
there's no in between.
Dude,
you can't. It's like you're too big for O'Brien's. Even too big for. I believe the Midway is 99.
Okay, so it's like the same. Like,
don't quote me on that, but
sure.
I think it's around ish.
Yeah.
And Great Scott really was that middle ground where you could do, what was Great Scott's cap, like 250 or something like that, or 200?
Yeah. It was like 220 for tickets, but if the guest lists weren't full,
bands and
you know, about 10, 15 in. But
staff and everything else, and it's like we're until they have secured a new spot that's actually confirmed. That hole is there now, and it sucks.
And I'm trying to do that I'm trying to do that the best I can, or like, you know, like some of the you know, what would be like the bigger shows. I was like, I could maybe get like a $15 ticket. Like I don't, but it's like I think it's worth it. But like, you know, because I have to entice them like a little bit, you know, like you know, be like, hey, like, so it's tough. It's tough trying to like,
you have to try to sell a smaller venue to a band that could have sold out a bigger venue, or try to sell that band playing at an even larger venue that they can't sell. It leaves you in between a rock and a hard place in that sense.
Yeah. You know, I was feeling, I mean, I think we've all kind of felt that like over the last few years where it's like, you know, people don't really go much past New York City sometimes on tours, you know, it's like, I don't know, there's not like a great place in like New Hampshire, like, you know, New York, you skip over Connecticut, like you go straight to Boston. Montreal is a little bit, it's, you know, nothing in Vermont, give or take. Like, are we at the point now where like, because we don't have that 220, 250, like, do people just do 2 nights in New York City and just like go back west, or like go, you know, it's like, are we gonna become a B market for smaller bands?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's
It's kind of like, you know, Providence obviously is similar. Like they have a couple of good sized venues, but it's a weird in between city that a lot of times people kind of tend to skip. Or like what I've noticed is that like from year to year, if bands will tour, like they'll do one tour, they'll do a Boston date. They'll do like a Connecticut date or a New York date, and they'll do a Boston date, and then they'll do another tour and they'll do a Providence date, but they won't do a Boston date.
Yeah.
So they'll do like Providence, and then maybe they'll skip up to, like you said, like Montreal or like Burlington.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You don't think about people like yourself and Ryan, who are booking these size venues, kind of getting caught in that spot, you know, between trying to sell out a smaller room, trying to entice a band to play a smaller room, or vice versa, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, I'm trying, because like, I think it's a cool thing for like the city to have. I mean, like, what you could do is just have like local bands for like 7 days a week, and it's like, you know, a $8 to $10 cover, and it's like whatever, and I could throw a fucking cover band on Friday night, and it's like, what, you know, you could, not to say that's lazy, but it's a different approach.
Yep.
And you could do that approach and it can be fine, and you know, but it's like, I don't know, I think Boston has a lot of really great bands, it's undeniable. But also like, so does everywhere fucking else. And I want those bands to come here, and I want those bands to play together, and, you know, yada, yada. So it's
That's
like,
how it works.
I'm just trying to like fight the, you know, because it's, you want to be convincing and like an attractive place to come to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like that, we don't have once ballroom anymore, like the lounge too. Like, it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and what's like, what's tough too is that like, I don't know, I not to like knock on, like, I feel like I always kind of find myself talking shit on like basement shows. And it's not that. I just like, you know, I get people, you know, I've heard like people like, oh, we're gonna, you know, we'll have to like take back independent music and like, you know, think of venues outside the box. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything, like I can see it. Like,
right.
Manchester, New Hampshire, when I was growing up, like we had to rent the VFW because it was like a bar and we're 17, or this VFW hall, you know? So I get that, like, you have to make it work, but it's like, you know, I hope people still like have the interest to like, you know, still try to like put the shows in like the bars and the small clubs. Cause like we still need you. We still like want, you know, like it'd be cool to like sell it every night and have like the bar tab super high, and you know, it's like, please still don't not want to come to us, you know, because like we fucking need you, you know, like, you know.
Do you think? I mean, I think that probably just in general, the population of music, being like musicians and bands being able to tour again, to travel again, to play shows again across the country, will hopefully have the effect of like people will be less picky about where they play and just stoked to play. Like, I'm hoping that happens. Yeah. To kind of counter it, you know, just be like, fuck, we just want to play. Like,
yeah, not like it was, which it's like, I'm just fucking eating my shorts on this one, but it was like end of 2019. You know, we did Fest. It was great. I had like a crush in like December, you know, roll in and to like the new year. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't really want to tour that much anymore. You know, I was like, I kind of, in my mind was like, I don't need to see Cleveland anymore. Like, I'm just, I'm cool. I'm like, you know, we kind of play like Pacific Northwest once a year or so. Like, that's sick. I'll get on a plane, you know, like I'll go like do like these fun things, but I was like, I'm kind of done. And, you know, like Craig kind of stepped down and like Brandon like kind of took a step back. And now we're like, yo, where's Cleveland at? Like, let's get going.
You'll
Let's go.
literally, yeah, right. Like, and it's like that's what I'm hoping. Like, bands will be like, we'll drive, we'll play like a town like an hour away. Like, we'll just to play somewhere, just to fucking play. Like, we're stoked on it.
Kalamazoo on a Tuesday, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I really hope that's the thing I do. I hope to, like, I mean, I don't know. You may know more of the ins and outs of this than I would, but I was thinking about this earlier about the possibility of a place like O'Brien's being closed for a while. Maybe we'll also, with the whole thing with Great Scott closing, put them in a place to upgrade equipment wise a little bit, or like to make some improvements in that room, which might make it a more enticing space to play in. I don't know.
No. O'Brien's got the old Great Scott PA, or like they cherry picked from it.
Yeah.
To get whatever they wanted. I don't know how awesome. Like insider info that is, but I'll confirm it. Like I know, they were able to pick through.
I was kind of hoping that might happen.
Yeah.
Because I worked at O'Brien's many times, and like I know we always used to like we'd have to wait for Great Scott to get an upgrade on something, and then they'd kind of pass it on down. So it was like encouraging to know that at least maybe the equipment will get changed over a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's which is like that's I think one of the cool parts of like, and this is no knock to like the Charlies of the Hong Kong of the world, but it's like it's just like at Charlies, it's just like two powered speakers thrown up, like let's just see what happens, kind of thing. And I did get two powered speakers to for the Hong Kong, so it's gonna be new speakers. And I got like a whole Studio 52, the venue that they were trying to have there, that they didn't end up having, unfortunately. I grabbed like all the vocal mics and shit from there, so I was able to like, all the those two spaces will have slightly better stuff.
Yeah, I know the Hong Kong was always tough too, because that room was kind of like set up as to be like a nightclub.
Yeah.
So sound PA wise, it wasn't exactly configured the way that you'd kind of want it to be.
Yeah.
Which is always rough. And it's like in a space that size, the responsibility winds up falling on you. Like if you're the one booking shows there, you're trying to like book the show, do the advancing, run the sound, and the door and the door. Yeah, of course. I mean, which is always, it adds to the, I guess it adds to the amount of hustle you have to do to kind of like do the whole thing, entice the band, sell the show. Yeah. And it sucks because the more and more venues we lose, the more and more rooms we're left with like that, where that's what you wind up having to do,
Yeah. It's always like that. It was just like, which is, if you want a good laugh, Hong Kong only has 4 inputs.
Right.
That is it. Yeah. And it's that just is how it is. It's like, that little 4-channel mixer that you had at your first band, like trying to figure out how to
it's vocals. It's vocals only.
It's the and that's the thing where it's like people,
or one acoustic.
Dude, it took us like 6 months to get like our own fucking DI, but I was like, it was such a nightmare. It was all fun, and it's the stuff that you like, would kill to do, but like it was just every show was just fucking trying to figure it out and just trying to laugh through being stressed out.
Yeah. There were definitely quite a few nights at OB's where equipment struggles were real, for sure. A little bit of a step up maybe from Hong Kong, but it was still like there were maybe 2 DI boxes that actually worked. Maybe we had 5 of them, but like only 2 of them kind of really worked.
Dude, that's the fun part. Where like now with that stuff, I'm like, I'm just the guy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not mine.
Just being able to.
There's someone else who gets paid to worry about it.
Pointing the finger to someone else is gonna be like, yes.
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I mean, like, it's just all been so weird about thinking about like, the good possible effects or like the positive possible effects of all this, like places having time to shut down, to clean out, to upgrade things, to like reimagine things, if Great Scott secures a new location, what that's going to be like and what their improvements are going to be, you know. And you know, like just hoping that there's an upside to it at the end, you know, at the end of the day. So what's the like the response been so far? Like, are bands already like hitting you up like, hey, like as soon as you can book again, I want to play? Or like, have you already been like, are you like hit the ground running with this, or like how's the kind of
I yes. No, I hit the ground running. But it's been cool. It's been really rad to see like the response, and it's like just like wild. I don't know. It's like definitely like people I haven't like heard from, and like even before the pandemic, like, oh, it's like so sick, congrats. It's like, oh, sick, like awesome. And I've definitely found that like way more I don't know, I'm like way more like not nervous. Yeah, no, nervous and a little stressed and anxious about it, but like now I'll like see if like a band posts something on like, their Instagram, I'll like slide in DMs like, hey, like, you know, like when you feel safe, like let me know, like don't be a stranger, you know, almost like sending out this like digital footprint of like a business card of like, hey, like we're here. Yeah. But it was so I like went into, you know, and like the like is the calendar and yada that like wasn't open to the public of like what was like being held and such. I like kind of was like, I don't think anything before September is gonna happen. So anything September on, I like combed through and was like, hey, like I'm Daniel. I'm not Ryan. Super nice to meet you. I see you have like these dates held. What are we thinking? You know? And a lot of people be like, yeah, no, fuck no. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me know. And like, you know, and so I would like kind of clean it out to like start as from scratch. That made sense.
Right.
The different shows that are a little bit making more sense and like a little more full, I can place. And then it's like, oh, random band that just wants to play. That Wednesday, I literally have nothing. Like, let's talk.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like you know, I have to imagine that you have people hit you up that you're like, hey, I need somebody for this bill. I'll just hit that band up. You know what I mean? That are just like, hey, we're down to play whenever. That it would actually come in handy. You know.
Oh, totally.
I also think the thing too, like the best thing about places like O'Brien's and like Charlie's in the Hong Kong that matter more than anything else, or that like it doesn't matter who you are, like you pretty much can play, and that is, you know, priceless in and of itself, just in the sense that somebody is willing to book people who want to play music and like want to have a place to play. And you know, there's going to be the nights where you book a band and there's 3 people in the room. Yeah. But knowing that there's people like Ryan and like yourself who are in the city that like are willing to do that, always, I think, encouraged people a lot to stay active and involved in the Boston music scene and to keep it going, you know, at its core.
Yeah. It's like, and that, I mean, I think what like is super important to like, you know, is like, there's no fucking cool guys. Like no one's cool, you know, it's like no one's better than anyone. Like we're all in this together. Like, it's just like, you know, people aren't going to come every day of the week to O'Brien's because I think I'm fucking cool and I'm going to be there. And it doesn't matter if the bands are playing or not. Like that's not how it goes, you know?
Right.
I'm not like up against the fucking jukebox, like fucking, it's like, you know, it's like you get, you know, I want like, you know, I want everyone to like feel like they're part of something, because that's when people care the most, is when they feel they're part of something, or like, I don't know, they want like, yeah, you can play a show, then like, oh, I want to help with this. Like, let's do it, man. Like
exactly.
You know, it's like we're all it's just it's community, and that's like kind of all it is. And I don't know, that's like all I kind of know sometimes. Like, you know, is that like punk rock world? But
yeah, no, absolutely, and like. People appreciate it, and they feel that they pick up on that, and you know, I think that's pretty much what you know, anybody that you ever talked to about booking or playing shows at like O'Brien's that were booked by Ryan or like or Heather, who's booking over at the Midway, is just like, yeah, like they gave us a platform, they gave us a place to play. Like they don't care. Like they'll just, if you are an artist, you want to make art, you want to make music, like you can do it. And and that's like, that's the thing I worry about the most losing, right? Is it's like, along with the venue, the people that are booking the shows there that are connecting all of the artists within the community.
Oh, totally. I agree with you. Yeah, it's so I think, you know, I think the only thing I'm a little nervous about, which because it's me being dramatic, is I know everyone wants live music back. Everyone's gonna be fucking stoked. I hope the fatigue doesn't come like quick. Like I don't know if I could sit through a 4, like if you're like, hey, tomorrow 4-band bill, O'Brien's, let's go. I'm like, yeah. And like band 2, I'm like, ooh, I've been standing for 2 hours. My back hurts. You know what? 2.5 bands is enough. I'm gonna go home. You know, like I'm hoping that like that the like rush of people wanting to go out, like, you know, we'll just like snowball to like getting more of like, you know, because like I don't have it. I do like something once a day now. You know, I'm like, oh, I grocery shop today, so I'll go to the post office tomorrow.
Yeah, I know,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
That syndrome is so real. It's like,
yeah,
you like, you're like, oh, I walked the dog and I like did like, oh, I'm tired. Like what a day.
Yeah,
and it's stupid, but also it's not anybody's fault. Like this is the strangest thing that has happened in any of our lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know either, dude. And like you and I have talked about like anxieties too with like, with everything coming back and like all the obviously all the controversy that's been in the news this week with the Madball show and just like stuff like that. And that's the crazy thing is like, that's just the thing that's happened closest to us. But I mean, this shit's been going on now for the better part of the last, you know, 6 months, a year in other parts of the country where they've fucked off way earlier and we're like, oh, this is a hoax and blah, 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 blah. And they're having, you know, they had the Sturgis motorcycle rally for Christ's sakes. Like, I mean,
like Florida's open.
Like, yeah, Florida's been open. Florida's been open. Texas has been open. Like, they're
it doesn't
insane.
make it right. It doesn't make what happened in New York City right. But people like throwing stones and like, can we just like keep throwing at Florida too? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just that it's getting closer to us. That's all. It's just it's getting closer to us. And I don't know. Like, I don't know how to describe the feeling of being like, there's nothing else in the world that I want to fucking do but be at a show with my friends. Yeah. There's nothing else I want, but there's also like nothing that's making me more anxious than the thought of being at a show in a room full of people right now too. Like I can't, it's this like double-sided, you know, double-edged sword that I can't escape. Like I just feel, I don't know that I'm ready yet. And
I feel like it's too much from that Trader Joe's and there's a lot of people, but I'm like, but no, let's get to O'Brien's. It's like, fuck. It's just
you know? Totally.
Well, that's what it's like. Such a bummer. We're like, I mean, I can't speak for what the intentions were for the other. It's like Thompson Square, wherever the park was that Madball show was. Like the city like started pulling other permits for like other events like that were coming up. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, do I think that those would have been good? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe, but it's just like,
it's like you're ruining it for everybody else,
you know. And for something that like, I don't know, that like, you know, I mean, they raise funds for, you know, like for like the firefighters and the again intense burn unit, like, you know, like they definitely put the money in the right place. So I don't want to be like, it was a show that didn't have to happen, because that's kind of saying that, like, you know, oh, so what, money didn't have to be, you know, I don't want anyone to twist and say, oh, what, so money didn't have to be raised.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't think like that park was like, oh man, if we don't have a show, we're fucking closing the park up. But there's like, no one fucking, you know, it's like you're doing that shit. Meanwhile, there's like venues that like have outside that like want to start having
Yeah.
it safely, and now they're like getting fucked.
Yeah.
And
Or
then
like
like
you couldn't have waited first. Like we, I don't want to, we could get into a whole, like whole fucking thing, shit talking that stupid show. Like you pulled a permit for a 9/11 memorial show in the middle of fucking April, like whatever.
dude, yeah.
But yeah, dude, the anxiety is real though. And like the being torn over, like being emotionally torn over, wanting shows to come back, but wanting it to be safe and right and, you know, the right thing to do and not selfish and not feel like you're being selfish for doing it, you know,
Yeah.
is real and it's a struggle. And, you know, you mentioned before, like wanting people to come to O'Brien's on a Tuesday night to see a show, not because it's like fucking cool or it's like the cool place to be, but like because they want to be there and want to like enjoy music and like be with their friends and stuff like that. And it's like, I want people to value and appreciate going to a show with a little bit more reverence now that we have gone through this, you know, and like want to be at O'Brien's on a Tuesday night, spend their money on merch, go see their friends play music, like go absorb and consume art. But like, I don't want it to be at the expense of anybody else, you know?
Yeah. No, like no one has a band worth dying over at all.
Exactly.
At all. Like, you know, if that Thompson Square Park, if that was a Fugazi reunion, nah, I'm so good, man. Like I'm so good. I ain't going, you know. But it's like it doesn't matter. Like it's not safe, you know. We're getting there. Like
we're so close. Like just chill for a few more months, you know. Nobody wants or wishes they had a world they could go back to work in as much as me, you know, but
dude, that was like such, because you never want to be like, oh well, like woe is me, like more like what the, you know, but what was like kind of disheartening, you know, and friends who either like, you know, had like, you know, could like work remote, or I mean it's like everyone's healthy and happy and that it should be content enough. But so, you know, I got kind of like grumpy with like some of my friends where they're like, oh, I'm like so bored. I wish I could go to a show. It's like, yeah, that was like my livelihood. So me too. Like I wish I go, you know, like
yeah.
you
think you wish you could go to a show? Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dog. Yeah, tell it. You know, yeah. You don't want to like, you know, because you don't want to be like this, you know, like just an asshole about it. But it's just like, oh yeah, you know, me too. I wish you could have your hobby back and I could have my livelihood and we could all be great, you know?
Yeah. We're this weird segment of society that gets so passed over for all of the important stuff. But then when shows can't happen or art isn't around or people, you know, there's no new shows on Netflix for people to binge while they're quarantining at home, like everybody notices. And it's but you don't notice when we're just trying to fucking get paid like the rest of the time.
Yeah. People realize there isn't music when the band isn't playing at the fucking, you know, the Patriots parade, you know, on the,
yeah, when the Dropkicks aren't on their duck boat.
yeah, which is why I got so mad like last, you know, that month ago when like Baker was like, yeah, we'll open up like, you know, like the gardens at like 12%, and while we're at it, yeah, like we can have like music back, but like no singing. It's like you don't even know what we are. Like fucking.
Yeah.
Even though it is worth. I don't know if you've seen the photo. It's fucking great. Governor Baker is a huge Blink-182 fan. And it's like a Christmas Day photo. Like he's in like long johns in the tree. And someone, I don't know who gave him like it was like most of like the Blink-182 catalog on vinyl. So he's like holding like 3 or 4 Blink-182 records, like smiling from either. It's a hilarious photo. But yeah, but that's to you know, the people calling those kind of shots. It's like, yeah, they're waiting for Blink-182 to come to the, you know, the Comcast.
They don't get it. They definitely don't. They don't get the full picture. And it's reflected in the state's unemployment compensation program. But
yeah,
again, like that could be a whole episode on its own, just talking about that kind of shit. But I suppose we could talk a little bit about, speaking of bands and shows, you guys you guys kind of released this, live from 2021 record, which was like a show you played on New Year's Day, right?
Yes. So that in itself was, I mean, not that we like yelled it from like the rooftops, but it was, we did it to sort of see how like playing, like how it's not sustainable to like play music in a sense. So essentially what was really disheartening throughout this pandemic with people like do live streams, do like donations, and there's just like these like, like just these suggestions with no like,
it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. Unless you're fucking Frank Turner and you'll get 1,000 viewers just when you go live on Instagram. Like, it's really hard to do live streams in a lucrative way that people are actually going to watch.
So we understand that it's from a place of privilege to be able to do it, but we're like, let's fucking spend some money. Let's do it. Let's fucking do, like, I mean, as big as we can, like, let's just see what we can do. And we were very lucky that like, the video team and Jade is all the audio for the whole thing. They were working on like fucking probably the rate they got as interns. It was just like everyone worked for peanuts, which is without.
Where did you guys do it from?
What we landed on. So Kicked in the Head had like a practice space studio in Quincy, and that the barn that was the studio, we just used that. Hasn't been obviously studio for years and years and years, but it just was like, we all like, the Kicked in the Head family ties have been like forever with like, Rebuilder and Dead Ellington and such. So we had that kind of barn controlled environment. And we just tried to do as, big as we can, and just like make a huge fucking backdrop, and like we all have like fucking wireless packs and just like fucking sent it. And we're lucky enough that like we had people who like wanted to sponsor the show, because people are just fucking always kind and supportive of music, and thankfully ours. And we were able to like make like just enough to like press like a couple hundred records, which I'm making it sound like it's not a big feat. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so you guys did the live stream live and then recorded it as well, or was it just all a pre-record?
So it was live when we did it.
Okay, cool.
Because so we did it live, and we had some like skits and things we wanted to throw in like in between and such, and that on December 12th it was live, and then we like showed it on January 1st, because that was the thing, is like we always would do New Year's Eve at Charlie's Kitchen. I was like, well,
right.
I had to like, I'm making it sound like I'm torturing myself, but like, I had to run a show, and like the band would kind of always be around and like come drink and hang out. So we just kind of started playing it every year because we were there. So we just wanted to keep some sort of band consistency by having that show.
Yeah.
To feel like we didn't lose everything, And
I feel like it's a nice twist on, like you said, it's so tough and like so easy to be burned out. I feel like people they got burned out so on the live streaming thing so fast, and like people are still doing it, but it's just like it's hard to entice anybody to watch, and like so that's a cool spin on it, to like parlay it into like, doing a little live record, and like having that little thing to kind of hang on to in all of this, like just something positive to focus on, and like something positive to work on when you can't do your normal thing,
Yeah, and it was fun. It was cool. I mean, it was like a lot of work, and definitely worth it. but yeah, it just was like, man, who had like, a pandemic was gonna have to make you do like a pre-recorded live record on their bingo card. It just was like so fucking wild. But yeah, it's definitely gonna go down as like one of the things that I'm most proud of like, like the when you're old and in the rocking chair thinking of when you were in a band, what you're most proud of. That's gonna be like one of the like, I can't believe like fucking just did it,
Yeah, and you lived through a pandemic too. Like you were in a band and you lived through a pandemic and did something cool with it, which is pretty it's pretty cool. I hope that like those things won't get lost to people's appreciation when things get back to normal either,
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we still don't have that fucking Rebuilder record on the Jesus Christ, man. We did like half of it before the pandemic. Not that we knew it was going to be the pandemic. And when it got like we got like safe enough to like keep your like circle, we're like, dude, we're going to crush through the rest of this record. We're going to, no, like still like fucking A. We're so super slow.
Well, hey, dude, I mean, it's gonna give people something to look forward to when we're coming out of this. You just got more stuff, more good stuff coming from you guys to look forward to. So, parlay that, you add that to stuff that's coming down the pipe for you taking over at O'Brien's and hopefully, shows coming back at the other venues at Charlie's and at the Hong Kong too. Yeah, it's good to know that the right people are behind the wheel,
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be sick. And I think in the next I'm just like lazy, man. I keep telling myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just post this like books are open. Let's fucking go. And just like tell everyone, let's sort it out. And then like give it a couple of days to curate and then like dive in. And I'm like, man, I'll do that like tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it next week. I keep like wanting to put it off because like, I hope there's a lot to come in. I hope I'll be overwhelmed. Yeah. I want that. But I'm also just like, I could just like watch a little bit more TV. So
no, dude, I think you're doing it right. And I think I think you have the right approach with like, we know that we're looking at the early fall probably at best at this point, and just doing it on a case by case basis, like letting bands feel it out and feel like what they're going to be comfortable with, what you're going to be comfortable with, what the staff at OB's is going to be comfortable with. It's going to take a long time to navigate all this, and I think just like I said before, it's just comforting, it's reassuring to know that like good people are still behind the scenes. Like obviously everybody's going to miss the hell out of Ryan. And like, I'm assuming, hopefully we're still going to see him. He's still going to be around, but like, everyone's going to be, on new ground and on new territory. And like, I think it's comforting to know that like the right people are still involved, and like Boston's not going to become this wasteland of like no one booking shows anymore or entirely new people who have no idea what they're doing.
Ryan's not going anywhere in the sense of like, if you're trying to tell me that Ryan's going to be like, busy. He has like a family. Don't get me wrong. He's not sitting at home bored. I know he's got
for sure. He's got a kid. Yeah.
But like, he's going to get that email from one of his bands that he loves coming through, maybe, like saw or forgot, or just in like a feel like, hey man, like hope things are good. Like I know you're not booking anymore, but like, and then it's gonna be like, like the copyrights or something. Like just he'll be like, oh, just as one, like he's like, there's gonna be.
Oh yeah. You're not gonna be able to let it go completely.
Yeah. But,
and nobody's gonna let him.
But if you're like, Ryan, like book this like Tuesday in a couple of weeks, you'll be like, yeah, fuck you. No. But the guy deserves a break for fucking damn sure.
Definitely. And he's left quite a legendary pair of shoes to fill. But I think we're all super confident that you're gonna kick ass. So
thank you.
I'm very excited for it and excited for what's to come. And it's really good to get that perspective on like how things are kind of looking for what we're all sort of what we're all sort of bracing for as we get through this summer and like hopefully get back to a world that's looks something like normal again, you know.
All everyone's got to do this summer is stay safe and fucking start practicing again. Like get a little tight. You know, if you feel safe,
get those chops back.
Please practice. You know.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. It has been a pleasure to get to talk to you and have it actually be airing this time and out there for people to hear. But,
Was I drinking back then when we did it? I don't think I was.
No.
Because normally if I'm drinking, I talk a lot more shit. So I'm just like, oh man, I'm glad.
It's okay. It's okay. I can ramble on and talk a lot of shit when I'm not drinking. So, you know, I'm at least up against a rival who's at the same caliber. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you, man. And we are all, I think I can speak on behalf of everybody in the scene here and at home that we're stoked.
Yeah.
To have you at the helm and stoked for what's coming.
No one be a fucking stranger. I swear to God. Everyone send me emails. Let's do shows when it's safe. Let's fucking get this.
There you have it. Thanks so much for listening and we'll see you soon. Have a great night.